Hello, this is a mini lesson on dialogue tags. What we're going to talk about is how to make some boring dialogue like this dialogue here between Calvin and Kramer. Calvin, this is the third time in a row you've been tardy. Calvin, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Kramer. I'm ashamed of myself, but I have a good excuse. Yes, you always do. Well, I tell you what, this time I'll let the class decide if it's an excused tardy or not. Okay, so we're going to make this more exciting. In order to do that, we will want it to read something like this. Calvin, this is the third time in a row you've been tardy. Mrs. Kramer's eyes glowed like the devil's as Calvin walked into class. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Kramer. I'm ashamed of myself, Calvin confessed. But I have a good excuse. He straightened the front of his state champion Letterman jacket with his dark hands. Okay, we've got a lot more detail there. We've got some dialogue tags, and we also have narrative action, and we also have some, you guessed it, descriptive detail. Okay, we can tell a little bit more even what Calvin looks like here. That he is an athlete, he has dark hands, he confessed, Mrs. Kramer's eyes glowed like a devil's as Calvin walked into class. We've got here a simile. Her eyes glowed like a devil. So we're going to add a lot of this detail to make our dialogue more meaningful. One way to do that is to add what we call dialogue tags. Okay? Those are words like acknowledged, admitted, muttered, instead of just the word said every single time. Argued, remembered, replied, requested, retorted, blustered. You are going to have a list of a bunch of different dialogue tags to try out today. For your independent time, you are going to have a paper like this. I never gave it much thought, Grandpa said, but after I read this letter, I got to thinking practically all the tame animals have names. So instead of just Grandpa said, we're going to want to go to our dialogue tag paper and put something else in. So we may want to add a different word, like maybe Grandpa acknowledged or Grandpa admitted. And we're going to write that in the blank. Then we'll continue reading, and we'll go down to the next said. I know, Grandpa, I said, but that monkey's not tame. He's as wild as a hoot owl. So what would he do if he was talking to his grandpa about that, and maybe he was kind of flustered or trying to convince his grandpa of something? Which word would be a good one for him to use instead of the word said? Since he's just trying to convince his grandpa and get him to think that way, he wouldn't really be barking or begging him or bellowing, which is to yell at him. Maybe he would be, I don't know, maybe a good one for this would be hinted. Let's see if that sounds better. I know, Grandpa, I hinted, but that monkey's not tame. He's as wild as a hoot owl. That sounds pretty good. He's not really trying to do anything real strong to his grandpa. He's trying to just hint at something for him. Grandpa frowned and said, I don't believe that monkey is as wild as you think he is. Once an animal has been tamed, he doesn't forget it. So it sounds like Grandpa's getting a little frustrated. So instead of just said, we want to find a dialogue tag that will tell us that Grandpa's kind of frustrated. So a little stronger word even than just said might be retorted. So maybe Grandpa frowned and retorted. Okay? Or maybe he nagged. Or maybe he blustered. But he probably didn't snarl or sob or threaten because he's just kind of annoyed at this point. He's frowning, so we know that he's a little bit annoyed. So what you're going to do for Try It On Time is you are going to find good dialogue tags to replace the word asked and said, because those are words that we usually use in dialogue. It's kind of boring. So we want to look at what the character's actually saying and doing and find a good dialogue tag for them.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.